a notion of reconciliation is one of the lenses through which we might choose to look at our life and our world, especially during this season of Lent. Reconciliation gets applied to all kinds of things. You know, a reconciliation bill is one of the things that's being worked on in Congress. But it's also essentially close to home, reconciliation. It comes from some root words that mean to make friendly, conciliare, again, reconcile. And it can apply to relationships, you know, reconciliation in a friendship, like after there's been a period of trouble. It can apply to reconciliation, you know, within one's own self. We've been estranged from ourselves. We've been watching a series, 13 Reasons Why, based on a book that dives into the complications of high school dynamics and the girls' struggle to find a place there. And in one of the scenes, there's this conversation between two of the students that talk about a willingness to look at the challenging things in one's experience and in some form of trusted environment, you know, either a community or within oneself, being able to acknowledge the complications in one's life and work through those to find some sense of resolution. It might look like reconciliation, like within oneself. You know, when we've been estranged from a part of ourself or a part of our history, and working to make friends with ourself again. So at the Taizé community, the Taizé community is one in France. It has a long history of working ecumenically, and in fact the building in which Taizé is located was given by the Germans in reparation for the tragedies and the atrocities of the war. But above the entrance is listed in 3 languages: be reconciled. You know, to make friendly again after this period of estrangement. So it's a practice we might follow during Lent, this ministry, as the Apostle Paul calls it, of reconciliation. He urges us to be reconciled to God, for we are reconciled to God in Christ, he says. And that reconciliation is this pathway to freedom, not only between nations, between us and God, but also reconciliation, making friends within our own selves. So I'll share this little tune. It's a Taizé piece. Trumpet's not quite right. We'll get there. Lord is my light and salvation. do is imagine yourself in some space that for you is a sanctuary, sort of a holy space. And maybe you're there surrounded by all sorts of people. They might be strangers or they might be people you know. And as you hear the song or as you sing the song, allow there to be just a little bit of light, and then that light over time grows, fills the whole space, illuminating the faces of all those gathered. The Lord is my light and salvation. In God I trust. In God I trust. Little by little, the light makes its way. The Lord is my light and salvation. In God I trust. In God I trust. Perhaps the light makes its way not only around all the people, but also right within you, reconciling, making friendly the parts of yourself that are at odds. And perhaps that beginning place of reconciliation starts the movement of the reconciliation of the world. Blessings on your day as we find God in these times of COVID. Today's February the 27th.